TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about Wagerwire. Wagerwire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at Wagerwire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search Wagerwire and download the app.
Hey, welcome to the show today. It's Wednesday. Today is June the 19th. And if you were with us yesterday, it was a pretty successful day yesterday. I think we gave out 3 plays yesterday. All 3 plays came in. Doesn't always work that way, but it worked that way yesterday, so that's kind of the way it works. Some days you knock them out of the park. You pull up the slate of games and you go and say, oh my goodness, these games just jump off the page at you and everything looks pretty good. Then there's other days you pull them up and you look at them and go, oh my goodness, I'm not sure about today's slate. And you kind of work at it and come up with something. So anyway, I think that we're gaining some traction here. I think that the show's doing pretty well so far. Hopefully everybody is getting something from it. Hopefully some of the information comes across a little differently than at some other places. That's kind of the goal here. The goal that I have of even doing the show is, I've been in this wagering racket, if you want to call it that, it's got to be close to 20 years now. I haven't been on, in the public eye for that long, but it's been, over 10 years in the public eye. And I'm still here. I haven't gone anywhere. And ideally things grow and things change and you learn a lot and you turn gray. And when you turn gray, you get experience, and that experience helps some of the newer people that come on. And I know that with the legislation the way it is and states now becoming legalized, guys like me that have been around a little while, if we can share our knowledge and we can share certain things, I think it helps. And not only that, I'm hopeful, and I say this as serious as I can, that guys like me that have been around a little while that actually bet, and I don't have another job. This is how I work. I make my income from betting. So when you bet and you try to make an income from betting, there's a lot more at stake, and there's a lot more you learn about bankroll management. You learn a lot more about the value of things and the non-value of things, as opposed to a lot of these guys you're going to hear and see, and mainstream guys that might be on some major networks and stuff. They don't bet these games. They just throw out opinions. And then you guys go out and think that they know what they're talking about and make bets based off their suggestions. And I'm not going to tell you that. I guess I am going to tell you it's wrong to do that. I just put it that way. It depends on what you want. Like, the best way I can say this to make it work for everybody and not offend people and not be crazy and stuff is everybody that is in the gambling business gambles for a reason. Some people just want to have fun. Some people just want to watch the game and have money on the game. And because they have money on the game, makes it more interesting. If they win, they win. If they lose, doesn't matter. They're just going to replenish the money and put it back in there so they can bet again. So if you're that kind of guy and you're out there doing those kinds of things, and then it doesn't matter what I'm here to tell you, because I'm here to try to tell you how to beat the sports book. And I think in my mind, as a guy that does this and tries to make an income off of it, that's the challenge. And let me just tell you that everything you do matters. And when you do these kind of things this way, you read and see all these different things that come across the social media platforms, and you go, oh my God. And then you read the comments and suggestions that I guess people actually follow what they say. So I sit there and just get baffled. But that being said, hopefully everybody that follows this channel, hopefully everybody that gets kind of involved here will learn a few things and kind of understand a little bit more about baseball betting, because we're not halfway home yet, guys. And I know a lot of people have given up, but you don't have to. We can make a lot of money. I'm at, 12, 13, 14 units on the season, trying to get to a point where about midway through, I'm over 15 units and trying to get to that 30 unit number by the end of the season. And that's a pretty good number. And then whatever you're wagering on those numbers, obviously you're in the plus side. And then it becomes football time. And I do football, but I mean, it's then it's time to go and say, okay, it's football time. Let's see what we got going on from there. But so yesterday we talked about a couple of points, and I think I have them over here. We talked about where to find good value in betting, right? We talked about line creation a little bit. We talked about offensive edges, because nobody's really looking at that. We talked about the adjustments that pitchers make or even teams make, and then the time frames that you want to use for your data, so you can capitalize on seeing those things. And we talked about win percent added. We talked about those things as things that aren't in the line, and those are all things that we can really focus on and press forward on to find betting value. So today, I just wanted to hit on just a couple of things before we get into tonight's slate. And I wanted to talk about what can hurt those things. So these are things to avoid. These are poor decisions in betting. And it doesn't necessarily have to be related to baseball, but a lot of it is. But the first one is coin flips. So what I mean by coin flips is, so for example, today I was looking at a couple of games, and one of them was the Atlanta-Detroit game, and that was Scooble on the mound today. And he was going against Lopez. Both teams struggling on offense. Both have great pitching. It wasn't really a dominant edge there, but the line was I thought it was kind of high for Atlanta. And I started thinking about it, going, well, this is just a coin flip to who's going to win this game. Somebody's going to get a walk, somebody's going to hit a single, and somebody's going to hit a home run, and it's going to be 3-0. And it wouldn't have mattered necessarily on which side. And you can't predict necessarily which side, because both of these guys were pretty good about not giving up home runs. So what I'm talking about here are games like this, where your numbers or the steam or the line or the moves in the line tell you, hey, I should be betting on a certain side. And the reality is that the game's a coin flip. And you shouldn't really be backing coin flip games unless you have a dominant edge on offense. And that's the case in any sport. Baseball primarily, because that's a big differentiation between one team and the other. So there wasn't really a big differentiation between the Braves and the Tigers today, but that's a coin flip kind of spot where my numbers said I should be betting on Detroit today, but I started looking at the game thinking about, okay, let's bet on Scooble. That's going to be great. I'm going to bet on Scooble today. But then I thought, well, okay, so both pitchers are going to do dominant. They're both going to pitch pretty well today. And who's got the better offense? Well, Atlanta's got the better offense, but not by very much. And, the game turned out where Atlanta did pretty well. I think Atlanta won like 7-0 or something today. Scooble didn't have his best stuff, got a couple of home runs hit. So the point, though, is that these are spots that a lot of people sit there and they go, oh, I'm going to bet this game, right? Because they feel like they have an edge. So your edge has to overcome the coin flip. And that game is one of those spots that doesn't do it. Cincinnati Pittsburgh is another one. Two good pitchers today, Green and Keller, two poor offenses, and you sit there and you go, I'm not sure what to do here. It's a coin flip. One of these teams are going to win, one's going to lose. It turned out to be a 1-0 game. I think Pittsburgh won the game 1-0. But the point of this is, don't catch yourself into these spots where it's not necessary to bet. That was one of my statements yesterday. Don't make losing bets. You're gonna, and I don't mean that in a way that, you're making a bet with the intention of it losing. I'm telling you to make bets that you think are the only ones you can make are going to win, or don't make the bet because that's kind of how this works. So that's number one. Coin flips are not good spots to be betting. You have to overcome too much. I kind of talked about this a little bit in the open there, but following social media non-bettors, if you have guys you like or people that throw out plays or they throw out what might sound like logical advice, let me just make sure that you're clear that it's okay to follow anybody you want. But history will tell you, and history tells me, that if you're listening to advice from anyone that doesn't actually make bets and or doesn't get their primary income from making bets, then you as someone following them are at the mercy of not understanding what those people are about. Because those people are about clicks, and those people are about recognition, and those people are about, trying to get on TV. Of course, me too. I love to be on TV, but at the same time, I don't do this for a living. I make money through bets. So the idea here is to kind of steer you in the right direction as to who to listen to and what's going on. You don't have to listen to me. You can listen to me if you like what I have to say, and or take my advice and combine it with other people. But my thoughts here is there's too much going on. When I first started doing this 15 years ago, we didn't do this through the computer. We did a lot of this, via teleconference. People would go on and listen to what you had to say and stuff like that. A lot of audio. But now you got video, and because you have video and a laptop, anybody can turn it on and anybody can say anything and they can sound like anything. And the DFS creation has made a bunch of monsters where these people are out there and they analyze stuff to the nth degree that have nothing to do with the outcome of a game. It has the outcome to do with how maybe a player might perform within that game, but it has nothing to do with the outcome of a bet. So you got to be real careful of who you listen to and why you're listening to them, because I think these DFS guys, they think they are giving proper betting advice, and it's just not. It might be good DFS betting advice, but it's not a betting advice in terms of what we do every day. We go out and pick solutions to games and totals and team totals and sides and all that kind of stuff. And that's not what these guys do. I want to make sure that you think about live betting for a minute. Baseball live betting is very tricky because if you're not handicapping replacement pitchers and bullpens, it's very difficult to live bet spots. The best live betting that I've been participating in is basketball, because the numbers change on runs. One team who's the underdog will get on a good run, and now the favorite is behind by 8 points or something, and it's just a matter of time before they get their 20-1 run and blow out the other team, and it's all over, and you got a pretty good number. Football works like that a little bit. So baseball is very tricky. So I would tell you to be careful following live betting on baseball, period. Do your homework, understand what you're betting into. I've seen live bets where guys come on and go, well, bet under this because, this guy's going to complete the game. There was one earlier just today on this Arizona game. Arizona plays Washington today, and guys like, well, Washington's not going to score any runs because Fad's doing really good, and let's bet the under 1.5. And then the next guy comes up, hits a home run. It's 2-1. They lost their bet. Washington's now in front, and they lose their bet on the other side. It's just nonsense. So be very careful on what you're doing and understanding what the situations are, because I don't think most people understand what baseball is about today. It's about putting up a crooked number, not a 1. They want a walk and a home run. They want a walk, a single, and a 3-run home run. That's how they're playing baseball. So they want to score runs in multiples. They have to work way too hard to string together a bunch of hits to get 1 run. So they don't want to do that. They want to do it a different way, and I understand. But that we have to make sure that everybody who's betting the game understands, right? So that's another one. And here's one that I think is a very popular one that we need to quell right away, and that is trend betting, right? So there was only one game going on, and I pulled up Covers because Covers is pretty good for matchups and different things, and they had a trend spot, and then you can go get trends in these games. And the very first one says the Arizona Diamondbacks have hit the game total over 13 of their last 17 games. So that's telling you should be betting on the over. So if you just went out and bet on the over in this game, we are, now in the 7th, 8th inning here. It's 2-1. Or I don't think that's the right score. I don't think they updated that number. The game's actually over now, and it ended 3-1. So if you were to go out there and Washington won the game 3-1, if you were to go out there and bet these trends this way, you're just going to lose. Trends are just taking information and compiling what happened in a segment of time. That's all it is. That's not betting information. So be very careful on how you use trends, because if you've listened to my show for the last 5 or 6 days, I've not used any, not one. And you will never hear me on a baseball show talk about trends. I may talk a little bit about that on a football show, but I will never talk about that on a baseball show, because there's way too much stuff that happens in baseball that trends don't matter. It doesn't make sense. And then the last thing that'll cost you is there's a very popular play where you get a heavy favorite that's, say, I don't know, minus 220, any favorite that's minus 220, like the Dodgers will be all the time, or these good teams, the Phillies will be minus 200 a lot and stuff. So people don't want to go pay minus 200, which I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to pay minus 200 necessarily either. So they come back and they go, well, the first 5 minus a half is way better. That's a way better line. And that line, I might have to pay minus 140 or something, or minus 130. But that's way better than paying 200 or 220 or 190, which it is. So that part of it, I get. But what you're missing is that's a totally separate bet. It's not connected. So the first 5 innings run line is not based off of the money line. It's based off of the total. So be very careful about playing that game and that number. If now I have a score predictor that I use that generates a number for me that's broken into 2 factions. It breaks it down into a first 5 number, and it breaks it down into a total game number. So I can compare what my first 5 number is compared to what the line is. So I can look at that and go, I got value here, I'm going to play it. Or I can go, oh, no, it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to. I never look at it from a perspective of taking that minus 220 and going, hey, I'm going to make this a better number, and I'm going to make it the half a run in the first 5 innings, because that's not correct. It doesn't correlate. It's not the same bet. They're 2 separate things. It would be more correlated to do the run line full game than half game, because the money line's made up of the full game and the bullpens and everything else, and how many times a team might bat versus the first 5 innings. So I would tell you to be very careful with that. That's probably not a good option to go down on a regular basis, and it'll end up costing you more money than it does to bet it. So those were just the poor decisions I see people make a lot. Try to avoid those spots. Try to stay to some of the stuff we talked about yesterday a little bit. And then a couple of notes, and then we'll get into today's slate a little bit. So the first note is there's no Aaron Judge tonight. He got hit in the hand yesterday, and he's not in the lineup. So that will change the odds, and that changes a lot of things. Of all the significance to one player on the line in a lineup, he's probably the number one guy, because he means more to the New York Yankees than any other individual player on a team, than anybody. He's the guy that drives the scoring for that team. So he's not in the lineup. That's a problem. Number 2, Gerrit Cole makes his first start tonight. I want to talk about that for a minute in a second. And Bobby Miller for the Dodgers is making a start tonight, and it's his first start coming off the disabled list. So there's two situations here. We have Gerrit Cole making his first start of the season. Now, the best way to get an understanding of what is Gerrit Cole going to do is kind of, if you can do this, there's a way. You can go to Fangraphs and pull up Gerrit Cole. You can see what he's done in his starts in the minor leagues, and how well he's pitched or not how well he's pitched, how many innings he's gone, and things like that. Because first start, remember back in April and March, these guys only go out and throw anywhere from 50 to 70 pitches, and I'm going to assume that he's going to at least throw 70 pitches. So that means you're going to have bullpen effect in this game. He's not going to go deeper than probably 5 innings. So that's number 1. Number 2, should you expect him to be Cy Young Gerrit Cole? I would say you should not expect him to be Cy Young Gerrit Cole. Most of the time in the first start of the season, these guys don't go out and throw no hitters. So I'm going to tell you that he's probably more hittable tonight than he would be at any game that he's going to have. Now he's going to be jazzed up to play, but I would tell you that he's not going to be the Gerrit Cole you're going to see in a month. In a month, you're going to see the Gerrit Cole that you're going to have the rest of the season, and one you're probably more familiar with seeing. Now, that's a little different scenario than where you have with Bobby Miller. Bobby Miller's, a young kid stud pitcher for the Dodgers, and he pitched 3 games to start the season in March and April, got hurt. This is his first time to start off of this. And one of my favorite plays is to bet against pitchers that come off the disabled list. And the reason is most people expect them to be just drop right in and pitch like they have been pitching, or pitch like the best performances that they're going to make. Well, these guys were hurt. So they haven't pitched to major league pitching for a while. He hasn't pitched to major league pitching for, a couple months now. And when he was pitching before, because he was hurt, he wasn't pitching very well. And now he's going to come in, and you're going to expect him to be, a major stud tonight. And he's facing Colorado, who offensive wise is top 3 in baseball right now. So they're scoring and hitting. So I don't look for him to go out and be the major success tonight. But you bet against these guys on their first couple of starts until they get a good one, and then once they get a good one, they kind of get it going again, and they get to becoming who they were. So be careful on starts and stops with pitchers, and when they come in and from the disabled list, and in this case for Gerrit Cole, it's his first start of the entire season. So let's talk about tonight's games. I touched on some of the stuff from this morning where Derek Skubal, or Tariq Skubal was pitching, and Green was pitching. So those were sort of coin flip kind of games. There's another one that I think is kind of a coin flip game, but it might be worth a shot at a little bit of value here. And that's Brian Wu, right? So Brian Wu pitches for Seattle. This number, last time I saw the number, let's pull up and get a fresh number. Cleveland's minus 145 to 150, depending on where you're going to play it. The number was 125 at the open. So this is a big move towards the Cleveland side. And I understand Bybee's pitching for Cleveland. Bybee's the best pitcher that Cleveland has. Wu is not the best pitcher Seattle has, but he's pitching like the best pitcher that Seattle has. So where this game kind of comes confusing to me is why people would want to go and take Cleveland and from 125 and bet them all the way up to 150. When I break this game down, I'm going to slide my reports over here so I can talk to you with them right here kind of in my face a little better. A couple things stand out. Number one, Brian Wu doesn't miss his locations. He's not making mistakes. His WPA is a 105. 105 is it is the best, tied with Crochet today, in terms of the best performances of all the pitchers on the board. So that tells me that for Cleveland to score, it's going to be difficult, number one, because Brian Wu's not going to make a mistake. He's not really going to, well, he could, but I mean, he's not going to get a lot of mistakes. He's going to make more solid pitches than he is the other. Now, Tanner Bybee's the same way, but a little less. He's a 0.46, so not quite the same level. But both of them are in the top 25% of all of baseball in being able to get productive outs, put the pitches where they're supposed to be, and drive for success in what the outcomes are. So when I look at how do these guys control the offenses on the other side, Tanner Bybee's an 83 on SOPS plus. So he's 17% better at controlling the opponent's slugging and on base than an average pitcher. That's pretty good. If you're better than average and you're 17% better than average, that's pretty good. Well, Brian Wu is a 2. That means he's 98% better than an average pitcher. You can't be much better than 98% better than an average pitcher. He's been just lights out, dynamite, great. But he's only made like 6 or 7 starts, and that's because he was on the injured list. But he's done well since he's come off. So then we look at it from a level and go, okay, so we got two really good pitchers here. How is there a home and away advantage? Do these pitchers have any kind of issues there? Well, Bybee's better on the road than he is at home. He's a 112 SOPS plus at home. So he's 12% worse than an average pitcher when he pitches at home. So that could play into some of this. But we'll have to see. We'll see. So Bybee's made 14 starts for Cleveland. The Cleveland Indians, the Guardians are 11-3 in the starts that he makes. So why would you want to bet against that? Well, I don't really want to, but at the same time, Wu's made 6 starts for Seattle, and they're 6-0 in all those starts. So then you look at, okay, well, maybe there's an edge on offense or something like that we can look at. Well, Seattle is 15% better than an average offense over the last 7 days, and Cleveland is even. I mean, they're minus 1%. So not much difference there. I think that edge is pretty. I mean, it's good for Seattle, but it's not the significant edge you're looking for. So, for example, Boston is 63% better than an average offense, and Toronto is minus 5%. That's an edge that you want to look at it and go, yeah, that's a bettable edge, right? That takes a coin flip game and goes, I kind of like this. because I'm betting on this offense. We talked about it yesterday. I'm betting on this offense. And of course, we did yesterday, well, in a different thing that I give to my clients. We were on Toronto or on Boston and we won. But we bet them because of the offense, right? So there's a lot of things in play that you got to look at to kind of make this work. And I don't think that Seattle is strong enough there as a opinion because two things. One, they strike out all the time. Their strikeout rate's 31%. I mean, they come up to bat they're going to strike out once per inning, basically. And that limits kind of what they can do. So they're going to have to hit home runs. And if Tyner Bybee's not giving up home runs, let's see what that looks like. Bybee is a 1.21, so he's over 1. He's kind of in the middle of the pack, whereas like Wu is a 0.38. He doesn't give up home runs, so that's a good thing. And neither one of them walk guys, so they're going to have to give up hits to get on base. Then you're going to have to give up a home run or two, and that's how they're going to have to try to score. And the bullpens both are pretty decent. The bullpen for Cleveland, I think, was top notch. They're one of the best bullpens that you can have, and I think Seattle's is pretty decent. I would say it's probably top 10. It's ranked 15th right now, but I think that so when you look at the game, you sit there and go, well, it's kind of coin flippy-ish, right? And we just said don't bet coin flip games, but I think that where you run into bettable opinion on this game and where you can kind of look at, how to place your money. And that I'm going to get to my number. My number on this game is Cleveland. My number is Cleveland minus 113. You can bet and get 140, what do we say it was? 140, 135, something like that on Seattle right now. Isn't that what the number was? The number on Seattle is, you can get 135. So that is enough value in a coin flippy-ish kind of game to sit there and go, I'll take it. So I like Seattle. I think they have the better offense right now. I think pitching-wise, they're about even. But I would tell you, Wu is just as good, if not better, than Bybee. And I think that at the same time I tell you that, I think that Bybee at home is not the best solution. He's a better solution on the road. So I think that you have a little bit of play here. Maybe you just put beer and pizza money on this one and go, okay, kind of like that. I will tell you this. I had to work really hard on the board today, whereas yesterday there was a lot of options. I had to cut stuff off just to try to put stuff on the show. Another game that I think is a bettable game here is you got Houston and Chicago. And Houston and the White Sox, this game opened at it's 115 for Houston. It's currently minus 110 for Houston. The total is 7.5. Now it's 7. And I'm going to tell you, I like the under the number. I think that these guys are going to have a hard time scoring runs. I think both of them have proven that, and especially this time of season, unless there's some stuff going on here, Houston's in trouble. That's a team that needs pitching. That's a team that needs some help. And offensively, they've been a struggle, much like Texas, right? Texas has been a team that's struggled. So in this particular spot, you have Hunter Brown. Now, this is another perfect example of what we were talking about yesterday with a guy who's made adjustments. So his WPA for the season is minus 23. That's not good. You don't want to have more mistakes made and more bad pitches than you do positive ones, and he does. Except for his last 90 days or his last 30 days, it's a plus 95. That's almost his best on the board, right? We just talked about a 1.05 as being the best. 95 is pretty close to that. And then when you look at the same type of thing and SOPS plus, how are they handling the opponent on getting on base and slugging? He's a 44, so he's 66% better than an average pitcher right now. And he was a 121. So here's a guy that's made an adjustment. We can capitalize on that adjustment because he's pitching lights out. He's pitching great. And secondly to that, Crochet's been great all season. He's a 21 SOPS plus in his last 30 days. So he's 79% better than an average pitcher. So they're going to really struggle here. And the White Sox against right-handed pitching, they're 18% worse than an average offense anyway. So that's not very good for them. And if you look at the offense, break it down, Houston is minus 13% with weighted runs created plus over the last 7 days. And the White Sox are 19% below. So both of them are bad. They rank 25th and 26th in all of baseball. There's 30 teams. So this is not good. Average runs per game, 3.2, 3.5. And these are dynamic pitchers. So I don't expect these guys to score very much. I looked at my number in this game is 3.2 to 3.3. So like 6.5. I think this is a worthwhile under. You can play it under. Alvarez is not playing for Houston today. So I think that you go out and these guys go handle their business on the mound, and you just hope that they pitch, 7-8 innings so that the bullpen is limited and that they don't cost you the total here. So I do like this one under 7 for the game. I had it at 7.5, but I didn't like the 130 juice there. So under 7, I think is a good number. And I wanted to talk about one other spot here tonight. Well, maybe two. I think that we talked about coin flips and we're not liking coin flips. Well, the Mets and the Rangers are a kind of coin flip-ish game, but not really, because the Mets offense is just dynamic. And you saw that last night. They found a way to come back and beat Texas after being behind. And tonight you have Manaea on the mound, and he's going against Heaney. And it's kind of a pick'em game. And I think as long as you're not paying, minus more than 110, 115 for the Mets, I think you're good. Because what I don't know that people look at a lot of times, and I don't look at it for certain things, but Texas is not very good against left-handed pitching. Texas is actually minus 13%. No, wrong. Yeah, minus 13% against left-handed pitching. I compared to an average offense. They score less, they hit less. They're not very dynamic there. They've played 22 left-handers. They've only won 10 games. They're 10-12 against lefties. So Manaea is one of those guys that can go out there and do a pretty good job. He's faced these guys a lot, just in terms of batters. And here's the other part of this that I think gets confusing. You don't want to look at a pitcher's win-loss. You want to look at the team's record in those starts that the pitcher has made. So, for example, Heaney's made 13 starts for the Rangers. The Rangers are 2-11 in his starts. That's not very good. He don't win very often. And Manaea's made 13 starts for the Mets. They're 8-5. So even if you think the pitchers are even, they're really not. Manaea finds a way to get the job done. Heaney does not. And Heaney can't come up in clutch spots is really what it means. And Manaea does. So I like the idea that this has a little more edge to it. And offensively, we talked about that a little bit. But the dynamic here is the Mets are third in offense right now. And the Rangers are 30th. They're dead last. You've got a weighted runs created plus 64% better than average for the Mets, and you've got a minus 41 for the Rangers. So that's not good. When you're 41% worse than an average offense, that's not good. The Rangers are scoring 3 runs a game, and the Mets 7.5. So I like the idea here that the Mets offense is dynamic. The Mets are good against left-handed pitching. They've got the better pitcher on the mound. They certainly have a better bullpen than what Texas does. So I don't mind the Mets here. Take the Mets. We'll call that a play today. And I wanted to hit you with one last thing, and this one's kind of a stretchy one. It's one that I gave out to my people today, but this is where I want to try to teach people not to be afraid of the run line. Don't be afraid of the run line. So we talked about not changing big favorites into first fives and run lines on the first five. So this is a game where you have Minnesota Joe Ryan against Taj Bradley for the Rays. And the Minnesota Twins, you got to find a way to bet them. The Minnesota Twins are the number one offense, and they're not even close. We just talked about the Mets being 64% better on weighted runs created plus than average offense. The Red Sox are in that same category, 63% better than average offense. The Twins are 100% better. That means they're double better than any offense, not any, but average offense that's going on right now. They're scoring 8.3 runs a game. They've scored 50 runs in the last 6 games. They're number one in offense. They're number 2 in ISO. That means they're hitting power shots. They have 8 guys in their lineup, and there's only 9 guys in the lineup. They have 8 guys in their lineup that are producing more than one more right now, and 7 of those guys are producing more than 2. Those guys are on fire. You want to find a way to bet them. So the way that I found a way to bet them is I think they're going to capitalize today and play on the run line. So the -1.5 is actually plus 125 in this spot. And that's because a lot of people think Taj Bradley's a good pitcher, and he is. He's only got blown up once, and when he got blown up, it kind of skewed his numbers a little bit because he was hurt, and now he's pitching pretty well. But when you're going against the number one offense, theoretically you're going to scratch across 3, 4, 5 runs today. So the question becomes: can then the Rays do enough on offense to combat what's going to happen on the other side? My opinion is that Joe Ryan's going to be pretty good. Now, Joe Ryan was a Ray. He was drafted through the Rays organization, came up that way, has only pitched against them like once or twice, so he hasn't had a lot of experience, but he's pretty focused on beating the Rays, the team that they traded him. And when I broke down the pitchers here, one of the things that I thought was really good is Ryan is a 51 on WPA, so he throws more quality pitches than he does less by far. He's 25% the best of all of baseball. And Bradley makes mistakes. He's minus 0.54, so he's in the worst 25%, and he's in the worst 25% in hard hit rate. So when he gets hit hard. Ball goes places, and that bodes well for Minnesota. And he's got a 2.30 home run rate. So anything over 1 is not good. When you start to get closer to 2, it's terrible. So there's a good likelihood that you get a couple guys on base and a home run here. This could be you might get two home runs today from the Twins, and that total is 4 runs. So you might get 4 or 5 runs just that way, and then add on a couple others. This could get 5 or 6 kind of runs for the Twins. And I looked at Ryan, and Ryan's batting average against, and I don't use batting average against for what you think I do, but it's 172. The average right now is 240 in Major League Baseball, so he doesn't give up many hits. And his whip is a 0.82. So guys aren't getting on base. So the Rays are going to have to figure out how to get on base and how to score runs against him tonight, because he didn't walk anybody either. So and his strikeouts aren't the biggest in the world. So balls are going to be put in play a little bit, but they go for outs. So I like the idea that Ryan can control the offense for the Rays, and the Rays are going to have to work to score 1 or 2 runs, and that the Twins, they're going to strike out, because that's what they do. They're going to strike out tonight, but I think that they're going to get up there, and I think that you're going to have a base hit, a walk or something, maybe a base hit and a walk, and then a dinger. So they're going to be 3 runs, and then Might happen again somewhere where a walk and a dinger. So there could be 5 runs scored just on 2 hits. So I like the idea that they're going to capitalize on that. My number in this game, in reference to the score, was Tampa Bay 2.8 runs, and the Twins 4.5 runs. So I think they can get more than 4.5. But the idea is that's just based off pitcher numbers. So you kind of look at it and go, okay, well, they're the number 1 offense. They can grow that. So I think there's value there. So I like the idea that you can get the Twins minus 1.5 on the run line, and you get plus 125 for it. So run line. One of the things I used to preach was if you're the home team, you don't want to play the run line at home because you don't get an opportunity to bat the last time. And that's true. And I would tell you 1 out of 5 or 6 games that will come into play. So you're going to lose maybe 1 out of 5 or 6 bets because of that. But I will tell you that if you win those other bets because you're doing this, it outweighs the cost. So your return on investment is don't worry about being the home team. The games today aren't 1-run games very often. Most of the time they're going to be 2 or more, even with, and a lot of that has to do with the extra inning rules. And even in extra innings, you get a guy on second base. If the other team didn't score and you hit a home run, well, you covered the run line. So it's one of those spots where don't give up on it. And I think that you can gain value there. So kind of as a recap, I think we talked about Seattle today. I think that game already started, but then we talked about Seattle, talked about the White Sox and Houston as an underplay. I talked about the Mets as a good play today, and the Minnesota Twins on the run line. I think those are the 4 plays we'll give out today. Tomorrow is Thursday. There's only 9 games tomorrow. A lot of them are during the day, so I won't be on tomorrow. So I'll be back on Friday at 6:15, breaking down what I like to call as the start of the week, because Friday, new teams, bad lines, we go attack on Friday. So attack. Friday will be a good day for some of that stuff. Again, one of the things I'd like to stress and recommend is I'm looking for some engagement from our audience. We've got quite a few people watching today. I saw Daniel came on, says hello, those kind of things. If you have a question, just type into the comments whatever question you have. If you want me to go over a specific game, maybe you want me to talk about the Yankee game or some other high-profile game or something that I didn't talk about today, and I'll do that. I'll spend the time and make sure that what you need you get from me as best as I can. And certainly follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on X. It's at Webby20 MLB. 20 was my number in baseball, by the way, so that's why I use 20. Go to my website, mlb-daily.com. You can sign up for the free newsletter there. You can become a client there. I'm not sitting here trying to bang you up on that stuff, and I'm not charging you hardly anything either. It's $100 for the rest of the season. And I publish every day my Webby odds, so that is my numbers. And I have an EV Plus tool, so that shows you my lines broken down into percentages and what bets you can make just based off of those things. Go over a weather report, give you a pitching report so that you can get all this information, an offense report so you can see all of that stuff, and a score predictor every single day. And then later on in the day, when I make my bets, I publish those. So if you want to follow what I bet, you're more than welcome to. Or if you want to just use the information to make your own, you can do that too. So anyway, that all being said, good luck to everybody tonight. I hope we have another big day. Yesterday was good. So far on the show, I don't think we've had a losing day. I think we've at worst been even on the day. We've been very positive. And just another way to say, hey, look, baseball is working out, and you can do a lot of things with it. So We got the whole half the year to go. We're not even halfway there yet. The All-Star break's not even there yet. So let's make some money. Let's build it up for football. Build your bankrolls, and let's have a great day. Thanks a lot for coming on. Talk to you later.